welcome to my Periscope. My name is Camari Carter. I am an author, a writer, a blogger, photographer, and a host of many things. I just wrote my first book entitled Death by Comb. I'm wearing the shirt today called Hell No, You Can't Touch My Hair, #Death by Comb. These shirts and my book is available on CamariCarter.com, so check those out. You're going to want to wear this shirt. So that's my little housekeeping for right now. But right now, I want to introduce you to my good friend, Angela Franklin. She is a wonderful writer, wonderful poet, essayist, and her book is coming out very shortly. The name of the book is called Cutting Through Keloids. It is a very wonderful book, and she's going to talk to you more about it. And this is her first time on Periscope, so I want you to encourage her and just chat in with us. And so I want to hear more about your book called Cutting Through Keloids.
Hello everyone. I've written a book of poetry called Cutting Through Keloids, and it is a work that addresses things that people ordinarily don't talk about, things that they've had to encounter and deal with in life, things that have left scars. And my work is a work that addresses going back, cutting open those scars and allowing them to reveal the stages of healing, to reveal those things that have changed me as a person, those things that have helped me in my growth as a human being. Getting to those places of truth is it's quite difficult, because when you start writing about hard things like domestic violence and gang murders and things that happen to you in the course of living, broken hearts, a whole host of things that you may not be willing to share, but it's through the sharing of those things that hurt deeply is where not only you as a person who writes the material can get healed, but it's also a message for someone else who has been hurt deeply and someone who doesn't quite know how to articulate their pain and get through it. So writers like myself and poets and other people who are in the arts, when they share their pain, their hurts, their sorrows, it's not just for them, it's for other people as well. So in my writing and as a poet and also as a nonfiction writer, I've been able to come up with things that address those pains. Anything dealing with suicide, homelessness, mental illness, and so many other issues that people just kind of keep to themselves. I grew up during a time where you didn't talk about those things. Those things were kept quiet, and we grew up in my house with the mantra, what goes on in this house stays in this house, and sometimes what goes on in a house can kill you. So in my experiences, I've learned to let my pen fly, to let my ink bleed, and from that I've received an incredible healing, and the things that I've shared have helped other people as well. So stay tuned for my book that's coming out. It's called Cutting Through Keloids. I hope you enjoy it.
So how would you suggest someone to write about the hard stuff? Like, how could they start that process?
It's not easy. First of all, they have to even recognize that something is hard and difficult to write about. If you find that there are things in your life that you can't talk about, start with a small journal. And maybe just one day, if all you can write down is one word, start with that. Many women have been touched inappropriately, molestation, rape, those kinds of things. I mean, it's hard for a person who has suffered through that kind of pain to go back into those hard places where the doors have been locked, padlocked with secrecy. And yet, if somebody is able to share how they were able to maneuver through those hurts to overcome that pain and put it out there, it's going to help somebody. But first, it has to start with the person admitting that they've been hurt, admitting that there is still pain. Abortion is another issue that no matter what side of the fence you are on, there are women and men who have been hurt by it. But yet there's no discussion of it, there's no closure, there's no talk. And then so many people suffer in silence because of it. So that's another area. Domestic violence is another one. Women that have been hurt, that have been scarred for life in many ways. It's hard to admit that you allowed somebody to have that kind of control over you. But once you put it out there and you talk about it, you'll find that you are not alone.
Why do you think somebody needs to talk about the hard stuff? Because there's people out there that will just, they may want to think about it, but then they may not want to think about it. So why even go through all of that, writing through the hard stuff? Why?
Well, as one of my dear therapists once told me, if you don't reveal, you don't heal.
That's good.
And once you let that thing out, that's kept you in bondage, that's kept you in silence for a number of years, once you release that information, it doesn't have a hold on you anymore. It can't control you anymore because it's out there. The worst has already happened. You've released that information, and you'd be surprised to know how many people will say to you, you know, I went through that same exact thing and I had nowhere to go with it.
So how could we break this down? Like if we wanted to maybe, because some people need like a 1, 2, 3 step, even though processes aren't 1, 2, 3, how could we say, okay, this is the starting point to maybe writing about the hard stuff?
Well,
where should someone start?
Well, first they have to I would suggest that they start with a journal. Writing things down that bother them. What bothers them? At first it could be, sometimes a person may not even know what's bothering them. They could know that that's nothing but a weird kind of fly. It's not going to bother you.
See, I'm not going to last. Okay.
She's talking about going to Africa and the flies over.
I'm not going to last. Okay, I'm sorry to cut you off. You were talking really good. I'm sorry.
It's okay. So the first place you start is with something you don't want to talk about. You may start with just writing about Uncle Fred that touched you inappropriately at the Thanksgiving dinner. Just start there. The hardest, most difficult thing is to start there. But I don't suggest this for everybody because sometimes once you start going into those hard, difficult places, it may be hard to recover from.
Well, how do you know if somebody's ready, though? How will they know they're ready to start writing about
They will know that they're ready when they get a breakthrough. This is specifically for writers, right?
No, this is for writers and for anybody. We could tailor it for writers, but anybody might watch this.
Well, when things, okay, for me, it was when things continually triggered that same thought, when it just kept coming up. It would, like all roads would lead to that one thing. And that one thing for me was surviving domestic violence. So when I would hear about a woman going through something like that, and it would touch me, and I would just close myself off immediately because I didn't want to go back to that place that happened something like 40 years ago. But it began to come up more and more, and I said, this is something that I really need to address, that I need to deal with. So I started small spurts of writing about it, a little at a time, until the message, or the incident I should say, no longer had control over me.
Now, how did you know that writing was the way?
Because it's the way I express things. I've been writing for years, but for so many years I just wrote and just tucked it away. I didn't share it with anyone. But once I started sharing things, people were like, wow, you wrote that? That's beautiful. I'd like to have a copy. And so that's kind of where it took off, and here we are.
That's amazing. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining me with my Periscope today. This is Angela's very first Periscope. We're helping her get socially acclimated to the internet world, and so this is her debut.
Hated it.
But when she signs up for Periscope, I'm gonna share with you her Periscope. She's an amazing writer, an amazing I would say amazing opinionist, honestly, because she has a lot of opinions and thoughts about things that are really, really, I think, critical for people to know about. Like, she's very wise. And so once she gets that Periscope, she's going to be on here talking to you guys, and I'm going to recommend you to her. So thank you.
She's just a good fan.
I'm a fan. Die-hard fan. Woo. Hashtag,
All right.
hashtag Angela Franklin. So, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching the replay. Remember that your hearts do matter. Remember that Death by Comb is available on CamariCarter.com, as well as shirts, pins, bookmarks, and all those amazing things. So, talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye.
Gosh, I can't believe you put me out here.
It's still going.